Once in a while, there's a topic that I'll think about that we've discussed in the past 7 or 8 years that I think I have put my 2 cents worth uh, to a capacity that we couldn't talk about it anymore. But there is a society wide misconception about something that I've thought about regarding forgiveness. Forgiveness and the narcissist. Forgiveness in and of itself is it's an idea that I think most people can agree with when it's used appropriately. It is a tool. It's a behavior. It's a thought that needs to be utilized appropriately. Forgiveness itself is really for the person that's been wronged. If you've been around a narcopath for any time at all, I'm sure that you have, like I do, probably a list of things that were even unprovoked attacks, and you're left with this negative emotion, ill will that they most certainly deserve. The idea of forgiving someone who has wronged you in such egregious ways is naturally abhorrent to most of us. Our society works, well, it's supposed to work, at least modern societies to work, where a criminal is rewarded for their crime, that they are held accountable, that there's accountability for your good actions or your evil actions. And we think that by forgiving the narcissist for what they've done, somehow we're letting them off the hook. And this isn't true. I think that there are varying levels of forgiveness. The very first level, and I'm 100% behind what I'm about to tell you, is that you shouldn't forgive. When you are in the throes of being attacked by someone, they're destroying your reputation, they're destroying your sense of self, they're destroying more, they're destroying your family, all the stuff that they go around doing when when it no longer serves them, then they go for the scorched earth behavior the way they do. It's not a good idea to to forgive someone that's doing that. Like just as an example, and hopefully this has never happened to you, and it's never happened to me. But you go into a bar, and some drunk guy uh, pummels you, in the doorway, and he doesn't even know who you are. You don't know each other, uh, and you've done nothing wrong. You haven't provoked this in any way except just walking in. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. During that interaction, it's not wise to go, I forgive you. You need to get yourself out of the situation before you even think about that. So your first order of operation is to, in our world, is to move no contact, to move low contact, to limit any to limit your exposure to someone who can do you harm. In my case, and I'm going to get to a point here, my case has taken literally 13 years before I can get to this point, what I want to tell you. It doesn't happen overnight, and it shouldn't. It's not designed to. It's not that we're impatient. It's that we don't there's nothing that indicates how long and how much effort it's going to take, that you just hear, well, you just need to forgive your enemies and that's that and you're done. That's not really the way it works, especially when you're in the throes of a battle with someone who hates your guts and is smearing your name and gaslighting you and lying to you and stealing from you and all the stuff that they do. It's not a good idea to try to forgive them at that point. You need to get yourself safe first. Then I'd say that was step one. I haven't put this out, I haven't written it down, but I'd say that's step one. Then the longest part, at least for me, is going to be this second part. And like I said, it's taken me 12, 13 years before I could even utter the words because, as some of you know, or many of you know, I'm a victim of an attempted murder. They tried to kill me. And I used to say I was 90% sure. I'm 100% sure now after looking back. That's what was going on. There was attempts on my life, and that'll upset you probably for a very long time, especially if it's somebody that was close to you. So the longest part is going to be working through going to no contact, going through to limiting the contact, of course, at first, since you're not into the forgiveness phase yet. And I promise I'm going to get to that. You're going to want to really just put it out of your mind for the time being. Really just get yourself into low contact gray rock until you can go no contact and they don't have their effect on you. The problem is that I think that a lot of people have forgiven someone who's wronged them and then let them back into their life thinking that that's part of forgiveness, when really forgiveness is really more about your mental and spiritual health than it is about the narcopath. So, so continuing, it can take a long time, especially if you have kids with one of these monsters that, you spent 15, 20 years or God knows how long, even 15, 20 minutes, they owe you something. They've stolen so much from you. It's a big bait and switch that, you can put it 1,000 ways. Basically, they're liar. They're narcissists, excuse me. They're narcissists. And they do what narcissists do, and they do it for a long time. And so you're left, hollowed out, holding the bag, and you're left basically not getting a return on your life investment. So it can take a really long time. And in that time, I don't even suggest that you try to forgive anyone. The very last, if that would be the second, I guess the second phase, the last phase would be, and this is where it gets hard, when the narcissist or the narcopath is out of your life, you're left with residual ill will and negative, just like a negative feelings about it, negative emotions. Like anytime I even thought about these monsters, I would just, I'd cringe, I'd bristle. Your mind is trying to protect you. It's trying to warn you of something. And a lot of times our minds, I'm not trying to tell you I know a lot about even my own mind, but sometimes it can't tell the difference between a memory and a thought or imagination. So you just, something pops up in your mind and you start to react. PTSD, CPTSD, this is a good indicator of it. So anyway, we're left with this. And so what do you do with it, right? What are you going to do with this? How are you going to cleanse yourself of the narcissist? This is where it comes in. This is where the forgiveness comes in. So recently, and probably the past year, is I would force myself, because there is completely no contact now. It's been for the last time that there would have been any possibility of contact legally would have been a little over 3 years ago. And so there was still that possibility that there might have been, as long as you have any kids with them and that aren't 18 yet, then there's a possibility. It was a very slim possibility, but it was still there. I'm getting lost here. Anyway, so I ended up having to force myself to say the words. And it's rough. It's really rough. I've refrained from discussing spirituality on the channel for a reason, that I wanted to keep things in the last few years focused pretty much on what the narcissist does, try to expose what they do, explain what they do, and what we can do about it. And I do have a little bit different take. I think I'm, again, some of the only ones that have said, you need to fight back before you forgive. The most difficult part was I forced myself to start saying these words, that I wish you, and this is the exact wording that I use. I wish you health, happiness, prosperity, freedom from suffering. May you always be well. I've probably said that with the narcissist in mind 5,000 times. And it's begun to work. And that's what I want to tell you. That's what I want to share with you. I don't come up on the channel anymore because I just kind of feel like we've run we've run the gamut on everything that there is to talk about, at least on this level of narcissism and the other things that I'm interested in. I still haven't decided if I was going to breach those topics yet or not. But it was rough. There's one she just still has it in for me. I know she does. It's just, you just know it. I can't tell you exactly how I know, but I know that she does. And so you have to remember that the narcissist isn't going to, and nobody is going to get off of their actions. Nobody is going to escape the cause and effect. Cause and effect is very, very real, and it never takes a day off. This is something that I've been saying for years. It never takes a day off. So when you are busy saying those words, you're clearing out the residue, the darkness that they left you with. They're still going to get. There's It's hard to accept because you can't see it, but this goes for all of us. These are universal laws. They are going to get their just desserts. They're going to get what's coming to them. So just because you forgive the narcissist for what they've done doesn't mean that they're not going to have to pay for their crimes. They will. They're if not in this life, in the next one. I'm sorry if some of the folks that come around on, at least when I'm chatting about this, I have some ideas that are, I've like I said, I've been careful not to really divulge them too much, and we may get into this if it looks like it's going to serve some purpose. That, yeah, I think that we have been here before, and I think you come back, and in many forms, and in for a very long time. So just because it looks like someone's living their best life after they've totally destroyed yours doesn't mean that they're not going to get something coming to them, sometimes for many, many lifetimes. If somebody has, been a serial killer or whatnot, they may have to experience some really, really deep hell realms before they are even able to experience something clearer. Anyway, that's again, it's another subject, but to be aware that it's not always time to forgive. There's a time when you're fighting them is definitely not the time. Stage one. Stage two, when you're in low contact or even no contact, it may take time. It's the idea of it is very beneficial to us. It's just how we use it. So anyway, I hope that explains something that I hope that explains the idea better. I can tell you that it does work. It's an amazing thing when you finally get away from what these psychopaths have done, and you can get away from their clutches. I always say, if it's your last 10 minutes on earth and you finally figure out what they are about, it's worth the effort for the understanding. So anyhow, look, it's not always easy to just forgive them. That's where people tell you that you have to, and you really don't have to, and it may not be time. I think that's the message today. You may not have to, and it may not be time. And when it does get to that point, it's still hard. So, but remember, the benefit is for you, and they still are going to suffer their, I hate that word karma, but cause and effect. They're going to suffer the effect of their cause. So that little saying, I wish the same for you. I wish you health in all of its aspects. This is real. I wish you health, happiness, a clear mind, prosperity, security, freedom from suffering, and may you all be well. My dog back here. I think she's ready for her to take her on a walk. All right. It's good to see you again. And I hope to see y'all again real soon. Thanks.